Welcome back to The Appointment. My guest is perhaps now one of the best known names in capital markets and in banking, Mr. Uday Kotak. Well, Mr. Kotak, the budget is on us. And you said that, growth is still something you're waiting for. Would you place a lot of bets on the budget? What would you want the budget to give you?
I would like the budget to be a solid statement of structural change in Indian economic and policy thinking, with substantively making sure that we are having a fiscal deficit below 3.9, hopefully closer to 3.5, but 3.5, 3.6, 3.7 is the kind of range I feel we should try and be in, because never in our history have we had this advantage of such low oil prices and the tax benefits into the fisc as we are now seeing. Against that, yes, there is the settlement payments, there is the payment on OROP, and probably capitalization of banks, which is also there as a part of the budget making exercise. So it is a balanced situation which we need to come to, but sub 3.9 and ideally 3.5 or at the most marginally higher.
Okay. Well, I'm really glad. I'm emotionally in that camp. But you're practically the only person I've spoken to in India Inc. who believes that fiscal discipline is important. A lot of people are betting that the budget is going to do this big thing for investment. You don't think it needs to do that? Will investment pick up without a big push from the budget?
See, in addition to the central deficit, we have to also watch out for the state deficits. And here we are going to see a significant movement of DISCOM debt onto the state budgets and the state deficits. Therefore, the rating agencies and the global community and the Indian community must watch for consolidated deficits, and they need to be contained as well. So in such volatile global times, good fiscal behavior is extremely important.
Actually, you watch the debt markets very closely. Will they stomach anything more than 3.6%?
That is clearly the issue, and we underestimate that if we have debt markets which are free to operate, the impact of every 0.1% on the pricing of debt markets. And the same is going to be an issue for state development loans, which are already seeing the pressure on yields coming out of excess supply.
Okay. Well, one hopes markets discipline like nothing else can, and bond markets can discipline in a very big way. Well, let me move to the banking sector itself. What's your honest sense about public sector banks? You know, we've got these 21 new licenses coming in, and people like you are restless to grow. Finally, do you think public sector banks, very shortly, will occupy maybe less than half the banking space?
I'm enthused by the finance minister's statement over the weekend at the Make in India program that there will be significant steps towards transformation of the state-owned banks. State-owned banks have been an extremely important part of the Indian economy, and at such a large percentage of India's savings and advances, it is important for us to make sure that we have a well thought out game plan for their future. Having said that, I think one of the important aspects is when we as a system, from a policy point of view, in a sector which is highly leveraged at an average of 10:1,
yes,
when we decide that we would like to have more entry of competition, we have to be careful. India has never had mortality in the banking system. It has always found ways and thanks to the RBI, for ensuring that banks get merged, but there has been no issue of exit from the system. In that context, how well prepared are we with more open entry for the exit aspect of a competitive system?
Well, Mr. Kotak, now you're an incumbent, so it is to your advantage if there isn't too many entrants. But
I am open for entrance, certainly. I think competition will get the best in us. But to what extent is the system ready for exits?
So you're actually arguing against on-tap licenses?
I am not. I am not arguing for or against. I am saying for each of the decisions we take, there are positives and there are outcomes of those decisions. The system must think about both as we move forward.
Okay, so you're asking both the fiscal system, the government, and the regulator to think whether we can face the consequences as a society if a bank failed.
I'm just saying that free competitive entry has to have an outcome which is free competitive exit.
Well, the FSLRC has recommended an institution which will take charge of failing banks, but okay, we haven't yet seen it on the horizon just yet. But yes, for a poor country without too much of a safety net, failing banks will be a
I'm not saying there will be failing banks. I'm just saying
if there are.
I'm saying the philosophic aspect, when we're thinking about 3 to 5 years ahead, we need to have a framework in place for both.
Yes.
I am certainly open to more competitive entry, but the system must make sure that we have mechanisms in place for a competitive exit.
Do you think that banks, in a secular sense, over the next 3 to 5 years, are definitely going to see a reduction of margins? Have you had to work in wafer-thin margins simply because of the digital challenge? I mean, no payment bank.
So let there be greater competition. I think margins need to shrink as the size of the pot grows. And we see a significant growth in the pot, even if it is at lower margins. And this is where our training, in addition to banking, in capital markets and other businesses, where we have learned to deal with lower margins every year for decades together, will be something which we keep as our philosophy.
Well, let's see how the digital challenge pans out. Are you planning to probably take over a payment bank, merge with a payment bank?
We already are taking a 20% stake in Bharti Payments Bank. So
yeah.
we are with them in that, and we are very excited about it, because it will give us an insight into how the whole payments mechanism works.
Are you all in touch in the sense you all are working together on that bank, or are you just a financial partner?
No, we are certainly very much involved in the whole process, and we are very excited because it enables us to learn how to deal with a large number of people who would not be the customers of our bank in our current business model.
Okay, so when the launch would be any time now?
We will certainly come back to you when Airtel Payments Bank is ready to roll.
It's a 2016 launch?
We hope so.
Okay, all right, that would be a matter of great interest. Now let me come to another aspect of banking, which is practically getting everyone's goat. The fact that in spite of such a large amount of bad loans, Indian banks have not really gone after errant promoters. I mean, it can't be the case that everyone has failed only because of the economic cycle. Why is it that no one is behind bars? Why is it that no one has lost their house?
I think, Lata, you've got to divide the question of stress into two categories. One is stress happening out of a normal business cycle or government policy over time. The second is where there has been a significant diversion or misuse of funds by borrowers from the banking system. The second category needs to be dealt with, because finally, if public sector banks or private sector banks, the broader agenda is to provide credit to society. And if bulk of the bad credit comes from the big guys because of misuse, the taxpayers' money is at stake, and it does need tough questions and good answers.
But are bankers at least moving in the direction of bringing culprits to book?
I think it's not only the bankers. It has to be the bankers, the government, the various investigative agencies to be working on this together or independently to find out where the system has been misused.
Are you seeing things in that direction, Mr. Kotak?
I think media should be asking those questions.
I'm asking you.
So it's something which I think it's very difficult for one small banker in the system to be able to give you an answer which is a significant question at the broader economy and policy level.
No, is it something that is wrong with the legal system? Is it that there is too much of political lending and that's why this is not coming out? Why is it that we are not able to...
Lata, I'll just mention one thing. At Kotak Mahindra Bank, we are pretty clear that if there is misuse of bank funds by any borrower, which is not in line with what the money was given for, we will do everything within our powers to recover that money and use all the instruments we have within the legal system.
Okay. Let me get back to the stock market investor and the foreign investor. In your various conversations ahead of your conference and even in your routine business, what is the sense you're getting? Will India stand out as a better place, an outperformer?
India is getting and will get a larger share of the pie from a shrinking emerging markets pie.
All right, that's about the best we can get. Thank you very much, Mr. Kotak. It's been a pleasure speaking with you as always.
Thank you very much.